My name is Susan Lanthier, and this is my story. I was born and raised in Canada and lead an average Canadian life. I work a full-time job and I try my very best to make ends meet. I have a 3-year-old adopted daughter named Scotty, who I love more than anything. I always try to make healthy choices when I'm shopping for groceries. I have just enough money to support my family with food, clothes, and basic health needs. This is my daughter, Scotty. Just after she turned 3, I noticed some strange behaviors. She would spin the wheels of her toy car for hours and watch the same TV episode over and over. I decided to take her to see a pediatrician. After a lengthy waiting time, we finally got in to see the pediatrician.
Next.
I was really nervous about what the pediatrician would have to say. The doctor performed several tests, and I was really nervous about the results.
Your daughter had autism.
Since her diagnosis, I have spent hours on the phone trying to get a hold of anyone for support. Whenever I manage to get through, they tell me nothing can be done. After several attempts, I simply just lost my temper. Sometimes the stress is overwhelming. It's weird how a person can live in such a big city and still feel alone every day. I dread the day that I have to send Scotty to kindergarten. I know she will be receiving the bare minimum. I have considered moving to another province.
A 39-year-old father and his autistic son were found dead in their car last night from carbon monoxide poisoning in an apparent murder-suicide. We are here talking with the ex-wife and the mother of this tragic story. So, did you have any indication that your ex-husband was thinking of suicide?
When I was with my ex-husband, he told me on several occasions that he felt overburdened with trying to care for his son. He felt that there were no resources available to him and that funding was a major issue and resources were available.
As of March 2012, 1 out of 88 children have been diagnosed with a form of autism somewhere along the autism spectrum. It can cost as much as $80,000 a year for intensive behavioral intervention therapy. Ontario has a budget of $115 million a year to assist families with autism in their funding needs. This is a surprisingly low amount if you take into consideration the number of individuals with autism in Ontario. So doing the math, $12.4 billion would be needed to fully fund all autistic children in Ontario, assuming that the therapy costs $80,000. Something to think about. And now we have a mother, Mrs. Folger, who was able to secure the fundings and resources for her daughter because of her repeated demands. Hello, Mrs. Folger.
Thank you. I wear proudly on my shoulders that I have a big mouth. Jesus gave me this big mouth to help my son. My son would not be here if I did not strongly advocate for him. I always tell people, my son might have autism, but autism does not have my son. As soon as your child is diagnosed, it is a common thread. You feel abandoned, alone, a sense of depression kicks in. That's something that every parent feels like, and no one's going to take care of you but yourself. Despite the tragic stories, Canadian families need to remember that life for families struggling with autism can still be good. You just got to advocate for your child.
Wow, that was a really inspirational story. Thank you for sharing.